Let's go! I was checking out the scouting report, and I don't see nothing but bums. You and your whole entire world know that I am the one to one. You and your squad ain't got nothing for me. Your organization is looking stressed, and now that you haters is running from me, I know that you see that I'm highly blessed.
Here we go. Here we go.
We are here. We are live. Episode 2 of The Rewind, wherever we may be and however you may be watching or listening. I'm the host, the captain of the ship, Monty Moss, alongside my co-host. Wait, not just any other co-host. This is Coach Bryant Garvin, Chicago's finest, Temple alum, 4-time state championship as co-head coach, over 400 career wins. He's in the Newark Hall of Fame. Put some respect on his name. And he's joining us from, I'm not sure. He's got this jersey on. What jersey is that, Bryant?
TU throwback, baby. What does it say here? TU, Big East. Bring it back. I don't know what this A mean, but it is what it is. But bring back the old Big East.
The Big East back in the day, back in the 90s. If you have not liked and subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do at Global Sports Entertainment 3, as well as follow us on Instagram at Global Sports Entertainment 3. Apple Podcasts, we're on there. We're streaming. Subscribe to our Apple Podcast feed as well as Spotify. Want to thank Chris in 1990 Studios. But let's get this underway because we got business to take care of. Detroit and Commanders, division round weekend this past weekend. Hope you guys enjoyed the games. Commanders versus Lions, 45-31 was your final. Commanders over the top. Jayden Daniels did his thing, 22 of 31, 299 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Brian Robinson Jr. on the ground, 15 carries, 77 rush yards, 2 TDs. Diamond Brown, 6 receptions, 98 yards receiving. Terry McLaurin got in the end zone himself with 4 receptions, 87 yards. Man, this game was good. Commanders defense, shout out to them, man. They just got it done. They forced Jared Goff to throw some really tough passes. He had 3 interceptions, 23 for 40, 313 yards, 1 touchdown. Jamar Gibbs, he did what he's supposed to do on the ground, 14 carries, 105 yards. 2 touchdowns. David Montgomery, we know he wasn't healthy coming to this game with that ACL. 7 carries for 28 yards. He didn't do as much. James Wilson did his thing on the ground with a jet sweep for 61 yards and touchdown. Amari St. Brown, he showed up to the office, 8 receptions, 137 yards receiving. Man, Sam Laporta did his thing. 6 receptions, 51 yards, got in the end zone. Bryant, when we talk about this game right here, we knew what the expectation, the pressure was coming in. Washington was on the road. We knew that they have already been proved themselves and proved to America that they belong here with their win on the road against Tampa Bay. Obviously, a field goal to win that. Fast forward, we're in Detroit, sold out game. All the pressure is on Washington coming in. Jayden Daniels starting rookie. I mean, he's just had a phenomenal season as well as phenomenal playoffs so far. But when you look at this game, we know why the Lions couldn't get it done. And we already knew what was at stake coming in. The winner goes to the NFC Championship game. Detroit pounded and run the schedule all season long. They got what they deserve. Commanders are pretty much the true underdogs of this NFL playoffs. I'm going to be honest with you. But when you look at this game, 45-31 was the final. What's your takeaway and breakdown of Washington's win over Detroit?
I'm truly surprised that Washington really won this game according to experience. Detroit, it has this black cloud over this whole state of Michigan. And Detroit in the city is just so bad. It's like dark. They can't get past the hump. They've gotten to the second round and they lost again. I don't have an answer for it. They have all the players. The injuries hurt them tremendously. That one catch back in the end zone from Laporta, it looks like myself back in the day. I can't do those things today. But right now,
break this down for us. Break this down from start to finish, Brian.
It's a fantastic catch in the back of the end zone. Laporte was in the back. He was in the H-back set. He basically had a little pity patter, and he went across on the back of the end zone for a touchdown. They even had a number 70 lineman go across, and he ran a 40 in like a 6'8". But anyway, you had 2 people covering a lineman. This part, I just don't understand it, but they did. But yet, it left Laporta back in the end zone with a nice grab to look like myself back in the day. And I really appreciate this play because they're using the tight ends a lot. However, Jayden Daniels, he was on my fantasy. I didn't even start him pretty much only 10% of the year. This young man is phenomenal. Probably one of the best quarterbacks I've seen in quite some time. I think they may wind up shocking the world. I think they may wind up going to the Super Bowl and have a chance to win it now. He changed my mind. This game here really shocked the hell out of me. The Eagles got a tough task. Do I think the Eagles may win? Maybe. But I think it's going to be a 50-50 game. But Jayden Daniels is one hell of a football player.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, as we're talking fantasy, I had the opportunity someone offered a trade package with Jayden Daniels included. I, at the time, was already hot. I started off 7-1 in the league. I was already all gas, no brakes. Fast forward, I really regret it because Jayden Daniels just had a tremendous rookie season. You couldn't ask for a better start. But let's just face it, Washington's done a great job in the offseason. They cleaned a lot of things up from their former owner, Mr. Snyder, and they brought in winners. Magic Johnson and the team, and then you bring in Bob Myers, a GM for the Warriors who knows nothing but how to win. And then you surround them with the winning cast. You already had Terry McLaurin and Brackfield. You already had Brian Robinson Jr., and then you bring in a veteran in Zach Ertz. Then you bring in a great offensive mind and Clint Kingsbury, because we know what success, the short success that he had in Arizona. Clearly, it wasn't long term, and it didn't really work out, due to him being fired. But you put a guy like that in a room with a Jayden Daniels, who pretty much he over exceeded expectations coming into the season, because we saw the tape that he did at LSU. They had a really good team at LSU under Brian Kelly. They couldn't get it done. They didn't win the SEC. They didn't get to the college football playoffs, so that was a failure. So when I look at Jayden Daniels this year, and I look at a quarterback who's pretty much shown up and shown out and has learned from his mistakes, but people forget to realize he is under that Tom Brady camp. Tom Brady has mentored this kid. They have been in the film room together. They have been in the weight room together. They have been on the practice field together. Those things matter, and you see it on Sundays pan out the way that Washington fans want it to be. And now, when we look at Washington and Jayden Daniels, he's the second black quarterback in franchise history, no other than the great Doug Williams, who's won a Super Bowl for Washington, first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl for the Washington Redskins at the time. Jayden Daniels enters history. And if you remember, if you go back to draft night of Jayden Daniels being drafted, he said, "I want to be the Lamar Jackson. I want the community, the Washington community, to like us the way that they like Baltimore. I want to be remembered like a Doug Williams." And now he's in a position to do that in year one, to over exceed expectations and get his team to a Super Bowl, because Washington, hasn't been to the Super Bowl since Doug Williams won. And this is something that is truly remarkable. So, Bryant, when you look at this Washington Commanders team, when you see what they've done in the regular season as well as what they've done in the postseason, they've got it done on the road. They're 2-0 on the road in the playoffs. What shocks you the most? And secondly, this is the third time that they're going to play the Eagles this season. They're 1-1 on the year. They split the division series. Who has more pressure? Is it Jayden Daniels and the Commanders going into Philadelphia, or is the pressure on Jalen Hurts at home against the Commanders with a sold-out crowd expected?
Well, I'm shocked that the damn Chicago Bears didn't take Jayden Daniels. They went along with the hype. I don't even want to talk about that. I'm so pissed off about that. You see in the back, it's nothing but Bear stuff. I'm a diehard Bear guy since I was born. Came out of my mother's womb. Disturbing. The young man can flat out play. He has great players around him on both sides of the ball. The Eagles, they got a tough task. I love Saquon. I love him to death. But yet, he has no east-west mobility. He's a north-south runner. He's always been like that since he was at Penn State. You stop him from getting big plays, running for 80, 90, 40, 50-yard touchdowns, the Eagles are going to have a problem. And they really are. I don't think they're that great offensively. I don't think they throw the ball that well. Some people think that he's a great quarterback. I'm just not convinced yet. I'm just really not. He's hurt, got hurt in the last football game with his knee. They're going to have a little wrap around him. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure if the Eagles can get it done against that defense. That defense is really, really good. They're really, really tough. And I think they may pull off a shocker again. In my opinion, it's going to come down to a 3-point game. Either way. But we'll see. We definitely see it's coming up here soon, and it's going to be one fantastic game to watch.
Yeah, Brian, you're absolutely right. Eagles versus Commanders this Sunday coming up on Fox. Kevin Bookhart and Tom Brady will have the call 3 p.m. Eastern time. This is the third matchup, and let's just call it for what it is. The Commanders are coming in as a better team. They've played all around better football than the Philadelphia Eagles has in these playoffs, because when we look at last game against Washington, which we'll get into at some point later on in the show, Jalen Hurts in that offense hasn't really played that great. I mean, Jalen Hurts only had over 150 passing yards in the win over Los Angeles, and Saquon was the story of the game, and that's something we'll break down because Jalen Hurts, yes, they haven't turned the ball over offensively. I'll give them that. Jalen Hurts hasn't been making bad decisions. He has took care of the football, because we do know in the playoffs, taking care of the football is very, very, very critical. And they've done that. Defensively, what they did or what they gave up in terms of if it wasn't for the snow, Brian, I'll be honest, Philly might have lose. They might lose. They might would have lost to the Rams.
I'm going to agree with you. The Rams wasn't used to playing in the snow. They made a couple of turnovers here and there, and some critical mistakes there towards at the end. The Eagles are comfortable playing in that type of weather, and they got lucky and they got blessed because they got Saquon Barkley. It's just what it is. No Saquon, no win.
Yeah,
and Jalen, I'm still not convinced. I don't think he's that great of quarterback. I don't think he's that mobile. I don't know if they're going to use him or not in that type of situation. He has a decent arm. He has some good players around him. But I think that Washington is just that much better. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tight. You keep Saquon Barkley within the box between tackle and tackle and corral around him to make him get 1 or 2 or 3 yard gains and give him great stops and keep him from catching the ball out of the backfield. Washington wins by 3.
Yeah, I'm going with the Commanders on the road. My money's all in on Jayden Daniels. He hasn't disappointed me yet. He hasn't disappointed Washington fans, to be quite honest with you, yet. And right now he just playing at a level that can't be matched. We haven't seen Jalen Hurts play at this level that Jayden Daniels playing at in this postseason. Let's just call it for what it is. And what Dan Campbell has done to this organization, what Dan Campbell has done to this offense, to the locker room, to the city, it's just been phenomenal. No better start you could have asked for in the Dan Campbell era, as well as a Jayden Daniels era, because like I said, he's a rookie and he's already making history. He's got this team where RG3 couldn't take him. He's already got this team where Kirk Cousins couldn't take him. But right now, they finally got it right in terms of the investment. The draft pick has paid off. The coaching hire has paid off. Coach Campbell, he's got Coach Quinn has got a great staff surrounded by him, both offense and defensively. The front office is on point. Those things matter to build a winning organization, and they're on the right path to winning the NFC Championship as well as advancing to the Super Bowl for the first time since Doug Williams. Texans with a 23-14 win over the Houston Texans at home. CJ Stroud, 19-28, 245 yards passing. Joe Mixon, he did his thing, 18 carries, 88 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Nico Collins, we knew that was going to be the factor coming in. We talked about it last week. 5 receptions, 81 yard receiving. Dalton Schultz, my man, 4 receptions, 63 yards. The Houston Texans obviously didn't get it done on the road. We will break this down. I'm sure the help of the Zebras played a part in this. But Pat Mahomes didn't play, the greatest of games, but he got Kelsey going. He got to Kelsey when it mattered. 16 for 25, 170 yards passing, 1 touchdown. Kareem Hunt, 8 for 44. Isaiah Pacheco, I put that on my list last week in terms of players to watch out for. We do know he's coming back from injury. He's not in that rhythm, in that flow. The Chiefs need him more than ever going into this AFC Championship game. But he finished with 5 carries, 18 yards rushing. Travis Kelce, 7 receptions, 117 yards, 1 touchdown. Couldn't ask for a better game or a better display from Travis Kelce. He did his thing. Xavier Worthy, 5 receptions, 45 yards. Texans, Bryant, 10 of 17 on third down. The Chiefs were only 4 of 11. I mean, Kansas City couldn't convert on third down to save their life. Texans did that. They did their part. I mean, the rushing factor was more towards Houston than KC. 149 rushing yards to 50. I mean, Texans now are 0-6 in the divisional round. It's just, you just can't add this stuff up. And when we look at the Kansas City Chiefs, let's just give credit due. Pat Mahomes right now, it's his 16th straight career playoff win. He's tied second all time Second. He's doing something that only the great Tom Brady has done. And on top of that, the Chiefs are going to the 7th straight AFC Championship game. They've dominated the AFC the last 7 years. Nobody can beat them. I mean, and let's just be honest. This is not the Chiefs team that we saw. Right now, it's safe to say this is not the best offensive Chiefs team we've seen, nor is it the best defensive Chiefs team we've seen in the Andy Reid era. But Bryant, when you see, we saw this game together. Actually, let's just call for what it is. We saw this game together, and you see what the Chiefs have did offensively. Does that concern you going into the AFC Championship game against the Buffalo Bills?
No. You know why? Because they have the Zebras. The Zebras are determining these damn games, and it's making me sick to watch it. I can't understand how these allow offensive linemen to hold that way. You call ridiculous calls. Everything goes the Chiefs' way, even though it's a close game. And, Vegas has got to win too. So at the end of the day, I would hate betting on these games. I don't bet, but it just pains me to sit there and watch manipulated football. I can't stand it. I can't stomach it. But understand that people have to make money. And the Chiefs are that hot team that everybody wants to see, especially when Travis Kelce has his special boo up in the stands watching. It's just what it is. And I'm tired of them putting her on the freaking camera like she's part of the football game. She's not that important. I'm sorry. But at the end, we want to watch the damn game. We came to watch the game. It's just what it is, not her. So at the end of the day, let us watch a game. Let us watch a fair game. Zebras, leave it alone. Let them do what they need to do and let them win or lose on their own. That's all I'm going to say.
I'll be honest, Brian. I haven't seen a single person shot in a single game in my entire life more than I've seen Taylor Swift in a suite with the Kelce's, with the Mahomes, ever.
It's annoying.
Credit to Roger Goodell in the NFL. Great marketing tool that they're using to just market her as best as they can with all the Swifties watching, because we know she brings a crowd. And then on top of that, if you remember, Caitlin Clark was in the suite sitting right next to Taylor Swift. So you get a double whammy. And I got nothing against Caitlin Clark. Great player. Definitely the horse, the leader of the WNBA. Yeah. But for the Texans, Bryant, 0-6 in the division round. We know coming in they had no Tank Dell, they had no Stephon Diggs. They've been injury prone on both sides. They haven't been healthy for the last 5 weeks. CJ Stroud has pretty much wheeled them to this point. But when you watch this game, it's only so much you can do offensively, right? Joe Mixon did his part. They couldn't get the play action game going. And look, if you're Steve Spagnuolo, it's pretty simple. The game plan is simple. Right. Let's double over the top of Nico Collins. Let's not get him going downfield, because we know what he did against. We know what they did against the Chargers the week before. We shut him down. Dalton Schultz is not going to beat us. Joe Mixon's not going to beat us. No one else in the offense is going to beat us. And Steve Spagnuolo, credit to him and his defensive game plan. He did just that. He got going. He got his 80 yards, but he wasn't a threat offensively. And it forced CJ Stroud to scramble a little bit more, move with his legs, which he did. He was very mobile. But you couldn't ask for anything more. But for the Texans, Bryant, in the DeMeco Ryans era, they've been to the playoffs 2 straight years. You can't be mad at that.
No, I'm not mad. I'm not mad at all. They're just going to have to wait their turn. And you said last week they're a year or two away from being right here in the AFC Championship game themselves. Agreed. They just got to stay healthy. You had 2 teams here, with a ton of injuries, with Detroit Lions and the Houston Texans. If they have a full squad, who knows which way this game would have gone. It's just unbelievable. I wish, they added on more football games. They playing 17, 18 games a year. That's a lot, for football. You come in and you get banged up by week 3 and week 4 that, players are dropping like hotcakes all over the place. It's just like, and it affects everybody now. It's because there's money on the line with stakes for fantasy football and people betting all the time. And you have all these players with injuries and banged up in week 16, going into playoffs 17, 18, and they can't even walk and chew gum. So now they got to put in second and third year players in there. They don't have the experience. And the results is that the right team is in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, as I said earlier, the Chiefs are in their 7th straight AFC Championship game. They're making history. Pat Mahomes is 16th straight career playoff win. He's looking like Mr. Untouchable, ties second all time. But when we dive into the preview of this Buffalo Bills versus Kansas City Chiefs matchup, we know the facts coming in. Josh Allen is 0-3 against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes had Josh Allen's number. We know that this Buffalo Bills team has everything that they need in terms of the offense, in terms of the defense. This is probably the best Bills team that we've seen in the Josh Allen era. They don't have the explosiveness, obviously, on offense with the loss of Stephon Diggs, but you have Keon Coleman, you have the run game. These things matter going into Arrowhead because, you have to be able to put Patrick Mahomes on his heels. The Texans didn't do that. They didn't get up to a hot start like we talked about last week. We said that if the Texans can get off to a hot start, it will be a different ball game. It didn't happen. You predicted like it would happen. It was a low scoring first half. Chiefs came out in third quarter. They got going. But Chiefs scored 10 points in the fourth. So Bryant, for this Buffalo Bills team, we do know that Josh Allen doesn't have to play hero ball. He doesn't have to go out there and throw for 500 yards passing to beat this Kansas City Chiefs team. From what you've seen against the win over Baltimore, what is the key for Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, to break that hump, to get over that hump, to finally get to the Super Bowl since the Jim Kelly era and beat Patrick Mahomes in Arrowhead to advance to the Super Bowl?
Don't play like Jim Kelly. It's just that simple. When they went to the Super Bowl, how many times? 6?
4 straight.
6?
90 to 94.
It seemed like 10, and they still can't get over the hump. It just won't happen. Kansas City, they already had the pathway all the way to get to the finals, and they just cannot. They won't lose. It's just that simple. Kansas City will not lose. They will not lose this game. No way, it will not lose this game. Vegas says so.
They will.
Vegas says so. They will not lose this game. There's no way in hell that Kansas City will lose this game. I would take you to freaking dinner. I swear to you. I take you any restaurant you want. Any restaurant you want.
Understand this, because this is what you're not understanding. Yes, Patrick Mahomes is 3-0 against Josh Allen in the playoffs. Yes, Patrick Mahomes is making history, and yes, we know that the NFL benefits more with him in the playoffs and him in the Super Bowl than being at home on the couch. However, Josh Allen is in the best position that he's ever been in his career versus Patrick Mahomes to get to that next level, and that's the Super Bowl. I personally think, Buffalo's coming in as a favorite, so that should tell you something. I don't remember the last time Kansas City was at home and they're the underdog, and yet they're the 3-point. The spread is at 3 currently on FanDuel. I don't remember Patrick Mahomes ever being an underdog ever. But, however, that tells me something that you and I both know about Vegas. But when I look at this Buffalo Bills team, man, they have all the ingredients to win. They have everything that you need to win. They have Josh Allen, who's playing really good football right now. They have James Cook, who's kicking ass in the run game. The receiving game could be a little better, but you can't be mad at this Buffalo Bills defense. I mean, if we look at their win over Baltimore, I mean, they forced 3 turnovers. You force 3 turnovers or 2 or even 1 against Patrick Mahomes, that changes everything. So me personally, I'm going to disagree with you. I got the Buffalo Bills making history. I got them going to the Super Bowl. I got them doing the impossible. Now check this out. Hang with me. It will be pretty ironic for the Bills to make the Super Bowl and lose again. That would be awful.
Now that'd be made for TV, because I think I will laugh for 1 year, because they're going to do it the same thing again. They're going to do it 3 times in a freaking row. That's how bad this team is. It's so freaking cold that by the time they go to a warm climate, their body freaking thaws. It's unbelievable, the things that they do. If they're going to lose, if the Texans was fully loaded, they would have lost then. So it's just what it is. Kansas City to the championship to play the winner of Washington and the Eagles in a close game.
That's a good point, Brian, that you make. Speaking of Philadelphia Eagles Los Angeles Rams, Eagles were home, NFC division round. 28-22 was your final. Saquon Barkley, I mean, he was a star of the game, 26 carry, 205 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Couldn't ask for a better start. Matthew Stafford did his thing, 324 yards passing, 26-44, two passing touchdowns. Both teams pressured the quarterback. Defensively, couldn't ask for anything more from your defensive core. I mean, the Rams, they sacked Saquon 7 times. I'm sorry, they sacked Jalen Hurts 7 times. Eagles got to Matthew Stafford's 5 times. Kyron Williams, 19 carries, 106 yards. Weather played a factor, as you can see here. It was snowing in Philadelphia. What a very, very, very snowy day in Philly. Bryant, what impressed you with this Eagles win? Because I know for me, Saquon was basically the game itself. He carried this offense. We didn't see AJ Brown get involved as much. We didn't see Devontae Smith get involved as much. Jalen Hurts, he managed the game the best way he can. As you brought up earlier, he did have a injury scare. We'll see how that goes going into this Sunday's game against the Commanders. But when you look at this Eagles win, knowing that it could have went either way. Rams did make a late comeback, just wasn't enough. What do this Eagles team need to do to advance their Super Bowl for a potential rematch against the Kansas City Chiefs?
They have to pretty much find a nucleus for Saquon to run the same way he did in the snow on dry ground. If Washington sit there and they corral him and make him run east-west, Philly's in trouble. They really are. I've watched Saquon, and when he was at Penn State, he actually grew up over here in Whitehall, PA, where I am right now, over here in Easton, and he's just an east-west run. Temple beat Penn State, and they held him to freaking 19 yards for 3.5 quarters, and they wound up beating him. This is how that Washington can beat the Eagles the same way. Make him run east-west. If he gets vertical, it's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. Make him run. He never runs east-west. You never see him go to the sideline, basically give a move, look like Walter Payton, do his thing, and go. No. East-west, he's terrible. Vertical, he's a monster. It's just that simple.
Yeah, Brian, I agree. Washington has all the chemicals that they need to basically limit Saquon in terms of his rushing production. We do know Saquon can block out of the backfield. He is a good pass blocker as well next to Jalen Hurts. But for me, if Philly advances to the Super Bowl and beat Washington, Jalen Hurts must play better. Jalen Hurts must get others involved. He must get AJ Brown going. He must get Devontae Smith going, because you can't afford to get those guys going in the third quarter, because at that point it's already too late. It's too late. And I'm curious to see what game Kellen Moore is going to call against this Washington Commander defense, because you have to mix it up early. Washington can get after the quarterback. They've shown that last week against Detroit. They forced Jared Goff to throw 3 interceptions. I mean, one of the interceptions that Jared Goff threw, I wasn't even sure where he was throwing to. He threw it into double coverage. He had Sam Laporta underneath on a check down. He decided to make a hero play, and it cost him. And Washington can get after the quarterback, and they've shown that. So for me, Jalen Hurts has got to play good. He's got to play good. He's got to play lights out. And you have to be balanced across the board, because if you're going to be run heavy first, when that doesn't work, then it forces you to throw. And if your pass game isn't working and you can't have a flow, you can't have a rhythm, you're in trouble, as Brian said. So it'll be a good game for sure on Sunday against Washington, Philly. And Saquon, I know Saquon's going to show up. I don't even have to think twice. He's shown up the first 2 games in the division, both home and away. He's shown up. Jalen Hurts got to throw the ball. Let's see how he looks on Sunday, with that knee, because he took a bad fall, took a bad hit. His knee went the other way. It was scary. I'm sure, he went to the locker room and they x-rayed him and stuff like that. But in order for Philly to win this game, Jalen Hurts has got to show up. He's got to throw 200 yards passing. He's got to at least throw 2 touchdowns, and he can't turn the ball over. You turn the ball over against this Washington Commanders team with what Jayden Daniels has done in this playoffs, the game may be over early. And I'm sorry, Eagles fans, the Commanders just may go on to the Super Bowl before the game even ends. Remember when Shannon Sharp called the president during the game against the Patriots? It may be the same thing, where say, hey, look, Philly's in trouble. We got this in the headlock. We'll see you in Vegas. And that's just all it's going to be.
I'll be scared of that young man, Jayden Daniels. He's the real deal. There's nothing negative I can say about this young man. He's just phenomenal quarterback, and he's a rookie. He's playing like he's been there for 10 years. It's just that simple. It's just you can't stop him. You can throw in the double coverage and you can complete the pass. It's just phenomenal football that he is playing right now.
Yeah, couldn't ask for anything more. And speaking of anything more, I'm pissed off. I'll be honest, Brian. I'm pissed off at this Ravens team. They had a great season. Again, I said last week on episode 1 of the Rewind that if Zay Flowers doesn't play this game, it will hurt them some way, somehow offensively. And it did. Yeah, it was a close game. Buffalo 27-25 went over the Baltimore Ravens at home. Bills were up 21-13 at the half. Lamar Jackson 18-25, 265 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Derrick Henry did his thing, 16 carries, 84 yards rushing. We'd love to see him run the ball more, especially late in that fourth quarter. Isaiah Likely, your guy, your fantasy guy, Bryant, 4 receptions, 73 yards and a touchdown. I mean, when we think about this game, when we talk about this game, the big thing is this. They turned the ball over. Lamar Jackson threw an interception. Mark Andrews gave up pretty much the game tying conversion at the goal line. Baltimore got in the end zone. Mark, I, in my opinion, Brian, when I look at that last play, because that's what everybody's talking about, that's what we're going to talk about. I would have loved to see them give the ball to Derrick Henry in that situation, because if you go back and you look at that particular play, right, Lamar Jackson scrambling to the right, Mark Andrews running towards the goal line, going towards the goalpost. Going towards the pylon. He drops it. They ran this play earlier in the season. And it was the same result. It was the same result, a drop. But right here, Brian, we look at this play here, and yes, you're paying Lamar all that money. He did his thing. He showed up. He got them back to where they were in a position to either win or tie. And clearly he got them down the field. They scored a touchdown. He made some big plays on that drive alone. But when you look at this play, Bryant, Lamar scrambling to the right, he throws the ball. Nice, pretty much couldn't throw it any better. Mark Andrews just fumbles it. What's your takeaway from Mark Andrews in this drop on a 2-point conversion?
He threw it to the wrong guy. It was wide open in the middle. All the flow of the defense was going towards the sideline. You have one receiver that's going across the opposite direction, and he was sitting there, and he's faded away, and he was sitting there in the end zone by himself. He should have stopped playing it himself and threw a ball back across his body for a touchdown. I'm not doing the same thing twice with the tight end, and not in that weather. I would have ran Derrick Henry. No question about it.
No question.
I said it a long time ago in the last episode. Run Derrick Henry, you win the game. I said that they was going to win by 9. They had 2 turnovers, and they missed that one. Maybe 3 turnovers.
They had 3 turnovers.
3 turnovers, if I'm mistaken. That's 3 opportunities to get 3 field goals. That's 9 points. You would have won the game by 9. You wouldn't even have to even attempt a 2-point conversion. You would have won the game by 9 points in that type of weather. They're at home watching us. GSE 3.
So, Brian, when we talk about Lamar Jackson, we've seen him play phenomenal this year. He's put up MVP numbers. You could make the argument that he could be this year's league MVP, even though Josh Allen has something to say about that. With this loss, going into the offseason and seeing the way Lamar has played in the postseason for this Ravens team, yes, no Zay Flowers offensively. Do the Ravens have a legit shot to be right back here next year?
Healthy, yes. Not healthy, no. It's just what it is, the same result. They have to stay healthy. They have to and make better decisions. But if they're not healthy, it depends on who they get in the draft, and yada, 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 who they get off, trade deadlines, the whole 9. But yet they're tired of the same thing, but yet we're tired of looking at them. It's the same thing over and over again. And guess what? Eventually, you got to make some adjustments here and stop doing dumb things. You can't turn the ball over. You just can't. Any team that turns the ball over that many times in a football game, you're going to lose. Unless the other team turns the ball over 3 times, then it's a even match. Yeah. But if that doesn't happen, then you're going to lose.
As Shannon Sharp says, if you turn the football over in the playoffs, it'll cost you double. Yes. And clearly 3 turnovers in a game, that's not going to win you any game, rather it's the regular season, rather it's the playoffs, rather it's Super Bowl. You can't turn the ball over. Protecting the football is critical. Speaking of the Chicago Bears, I think they finally got it right. Bears Bears announced that they have signed former offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as a new team's head coach. Ben Johnson, if you don't know, has been the offensive coordinator under Dan Campbell with the Detroit Lions since 2022. He's been there from basically the beginning of the Lions to the rise of the Detroit Lions. But let's just look at some key stats here for Ben Johnson. In 2024 alone, they were fourth. Detroit was fourth in the league in touchdowns at 39, second in the league in first downs, second in the league in passing yards, first in the league in offensive points per game, first in yardage. I mean, since the Ben Johnson era in Detroit, he's pretty much done everything and anything that you can do from an offensive standpoint in terms of maximizing your potential. Yes, this past season this year, coming into the playoffs, they did have some injuries, but on offense with David Montgomery being out. Bryant, we do know the Chicago Bears don't have a Detroit Lions offense. We do know that they don't have Amari St. Brown. They don't have a Jamar Gibbs. They don't have a Dave Montgomery. However, you do have a DJ Moore. You do need to re-sign Keenan Allen and get him locked in. You do have DeAndre Swift in the background, in the backfield. I'm sorry. But just looking on paper, when I look at the Chicago Bears team, offensive line's got to get cleaned up. You need an offensive line. Caleb Williams has took the most sacks this year. He leads the league in sacks. He has took over 70 sacks this year alone. He's 10 highest in the second quarterback in the league, and I won't even name the second quarterback. You must protect the football, but yet Caleb Williams in year one, he hasn't lived up to obviously the hype that Chicago Bears clearly wanted to go draft him when you had a Jayden Daniels on the board at the time. But Bryant, for Ben Johnson, I feel as though you got it right. He clearly brings everything that you need in terms of he's an offensive-minded coach. Chicago Bears need an offense. I'm curious to see who he hires in terms of his staff. However, Ben Johnson, your new Bears head coach. What was your initial thoughts when you heard the signing?
Well, I thought it was a smart move. With his offensive mind, I think that he has to fix that offensive line because they did improve after game 3, almost less sacks, but yet Caleb was also getting pressured continuously over the time because he holds the ball too damn long. If he actually gets the ball out of his hands and a little bit quicker and faster with his reads, then we have more potential to win more games. We won the last one and we beat the Cheeseheads. But at the end of the day, he can consistently do that more and more throughout his career. And I think Ben Johnson is going to help him be more productive towards next year's seasons.
So when we talk about next season, sorry to cut you off. When we talk about next season, what is your expectations in the Ben Johnson era in year one going into the 2025 season?
It's more of the same of what happened this year. Maybe a game or two, a little bit better. This is not a quick fix type scheme here. It's going to take about 3 or 4 years to turn this thing around.
Wow.
This organization has been down in the dumps since 2006, and 2007, and it just cannot get right. It's just like I've seen the Cubs do it. The Cubs were dead for decades after decades.
100+ years.
Yeah, 100+ years, and then they won one freaking World Series, and they're back to being dead again. It's like it have make no sense. Well, the White Sox did the same shit. They just sit there and they win one World Series, and they're dead. The only team that ever freaking done anything was the Bulls and the Blackhawks when they went back to back and won the championships. But other than that, these two organizations or three are just got this kryptonite around it and just cannot get right. At least we won a freaking Super Bowl, and we went to one. Detroit hasn't done neither. We won one in 85. We went to the Super Bowl. And Detroit haven't even know what the stadium smells like.
Listen. You went to the Super Bowl 2006. You lost to Peyton Manning in the rain. We won't talk about that. However, the Detroit Lions are where the Chicago Bears organization wants to be. And it's building a winning program, a winning organization from top to bottom. That's the front office believing and buying into what the head coach philosophy is. That's the Chicago Bears selling out home games, which they clearly haven't done in the last 5 years. That's the Chicago Bears winning the division that they haven't done in God knows how long. That's the Chicago Bears getting to the playoffs, and not also getting to the playoffs, but winning a playoff game. So let's not compare the Detroit Lions to the Chicago Bears, because the Detroit Lions are back. Dan Campbell has got his team where they belong. So don't get it mixed up.
Did you just say the Detroit Lions are back? They never was anywhere. They sucked for years.
Wait.
Barry Sanders. They had Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders had to run, did all that stuff for his own.
They haven't. First off, where have you been? Where have you been in the Dan Campbell era? Last time I checked, before Dan Campbell arrived, the Lions were garbage. They made the playoffs once during Matthew Stafford tenure. That didn't work out, and they had Megatron, one of the greatest receivers of all time, in the Hall of Famer. When we look at the Dan Campbell era and what he took over, taking over this Lions team, they were trailer park trash.
No question.
They were trailer park trash. Dan Campbell came in here. He cleaned things up from
yes, he did.
The bottom, and he has made progress each year he's been the head coach, and that's including winning divisions. That's including being a 13-win team. I can't remember the last time the Chicago Bears won 13 games in a football season. I'm sorry.
Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
Let's not compare the Chicago Bears to the Detroit Lions, because last time I checked, the Lions are on this level and Chicago's right about here. They got ways to go. Can Ben Johnson get it done? To be determined. Is he the right hire? About damn time they got it right, because we're not even going to talk about.
We don't know if they got it right yet. We will see.
But don't compare the Lions to the Chicago Bears. Don't ever do that.
We will see.
We will see. I have a surprise for you here on the Rewind, episode 2. I have a surprise for you. I like gifts. Do you like gifts? Do you like gifts? Do you like gifts? I am about to introduce our guest on the Rewind, episode 2. Not also Brian's former teammate, a Temple alum. He is a proud native of Chicago, has built the legacy both on and off the field, a standout athlete at Ellsworth Junior College. He earned national recognition as one of the premier defensive back in the country. This man continued his football career at Temple, playing under the legendary TU alum, Super Bowl champion, Bruce Arians, where he excelled at both cornerback, special teams, and wide-side linebacker. Beyond his playing days, his passion for sports and leadership has led him to rank top 5 Sports Chicago 24/7 and Team Thomas Investment Group, LLC, shout out to that, ventures that reflect his commitment to excellence and community both on and off the field. He's also gave back as high school football coach in Chicago, where he helped guide teams to 2 city championships and a Prep Bowl victory as an assistant coach. A proud father with 3 sons, all currently competing in college football as we speak. His dedication to family and sports continues to inspire others in the community as well nationally. I want to bring on no other than TU's finest, Temple alum, TU in the house, Mr. Jeff Thomas. Jeff, we appreciate your time coming on to Rewind. We appreciate you coming on to talk some Temple football that we'll get into a little bit later. But Jeff, welcome into the Rewind. How you doing, my man?
Hey, Monty, I appreciate the introduction. It was great. But, bro, we can never talk Detroit over Chicago football.
Thank you.
And I'm going to tell you this. I don't think they even won the championship when it was championships prior to the Super Bowl.
Thank you.
I don't think they have any of those at all.
Thank you.
I have to push back on you on that one, man. There's no way Detroit, I can tell you Detroit people are definitely always trying to get on our level of football. We got one Super Bowl at least.
At least one time.
That you do. But let's just be honest, when we talk about recent team success, Detroit Lions are in a category over itself, because clearly you can't beat them twice a year in the division. But Ben Johnson gets the opportunity to do that.
I agree. And you know what? I will say this, though. Justin Fields, when he was with the Bears, he gave Dan Campbell the flux.
He did. Yeah, he did. I personally would have loved to see Justin Fields stay in Chicago. That's a story for another day, because clearly when you look at this Caleb Williams offense, it's the same thing, just with a different quarterback. Offensive line struggles. They did give Justin Fields an addition with DJ Moore. I would have loved to see them just hang on a little bit longer, but that delusional front office has a mind of its own. But speaking of Temple football, speaking of having 2 Temple alums on here, you guys have been able to see Temple football since you guys have been out of Temple and graduated and gone on to do great things in life. They just hired a new recent head coach. KC Keeler hired his new head coach this year. Just a little bit about his resume. From 1993 to 2001, he had an 88-21 record, 7 Division III playoff appearances. He is 0-5, however, in a Division III championship. Then moved on to Delaware from 2002 to 2012. Under Keeler, Delaware won its IAA title in 2003, the first national title in school history since 1979. He was fired from Delaware in 2012, however, after signing a 10-year contract that would have extended him until 2017. Sam Houston hires KC 2014. He went 11-5. Fast forward to 2016, he led Sam Houston State to his first undefeated season since 2011, where Keeler was named head coach of the year. Keeler led the 2020 Bearcats to a 10-0 season, ended with its first NCAA football championship in football history. As of 2022, Keeler has 3 Southland Conference championships, a WAC championship, 14 FCS playoff wins, and a national title through 8 seasons at Sam Houston. That is pretty impeccable. As a Bearcat, Keeler has become both the all-time FCS playoff wins leader and the only coach to win FCC title with 2 different schools. Temple this year, we do know they didn't have a great season this year. They finished 3-9 this past season. Jeff, I'll start with you. You are TU to its finest. You breed Temple football. When you heard about the news of Casey Keeler coming on to take over this Temple football program as announcing his new head coach, what was your initial thoughts?
Well, it's funny because you want to have a guy that's going to be able to win, and seeing where he's come from previously, he seems to be able to win. Certain guys have that formula, and no matter where they go, they can take a program and take it to the next level. So I'm hoping that he's that guy. Of course, college football is totally different from when Brian and I played. You got NIL. It's just a total different thing. It's hard to keep kids. If kids aren't happy, they'll bolt on you in a minute. So it's going to be tough to see how well he can do at Temple as far as marketing, as far as getting kids to commit and stay at Temple. That's going to be his biggest challenge. And let's be real. I mean, he's got some recent guys that he's pulled up from the FCS level. So we'll see how they do. But, right now it's kind of wait and see type of mentality for me.
Bryant, you've seen this Temple football team over the years just as well as Jeff has. You've seen Bruce Arians come through. You've seen winners come through, including Ryan Day, who's been there 2 times at Temple. What are your expectations? We do know Temple doesn't have the greatest of an NIL structure in terms of bringing in high talented recruited players to commit. We do know that Temple is sharing a stadium with the Philadelphia Eagles at this current time. They don't have their own stadium. Hell, let's just call it for what it is. Temple practices across the street from a hookah lounge. So when you look at this Temple team and you see that Casey Keeler is the new head coach of the Temple Owls, what are your expectations coming into the season, and what are the most important things that he must do with the administration to turn this Temple football team around?
Well, the first thing is I think that he needs full autonomy. It's at a point right now that Temple is on a tipping board of being able to jump in the water and probably drown or being saved. One or the other. It's they have to do with money. With facilities, we are so far behind. It makes absolutely no sense. I had a young man on Facebook arguing with me saying that Temple was equal to Memphis University in far as facilities. That right there told me that this young man had no idea what he was talking about, didn't understand, because I've been everywhere as well as Jeff has, and I've been all through Memphis, which my family lives down in Memphis, and those facilities at Memphis is phenomenal. They have indoor and outdoor facilities, so we barely, like you said, have a facility that's outdoors that's right across the street from a hookah lounge, and it just makes absolutely no sense. You add in the NIL deals in there with that, you throw a few $100s here and there to every football player that comes around to Temple, they're going to take the next high road coming. So I know that I would. Why would you stay at Temple if someone is paying you $10,000 for the year and the next one come up there and you want to turn out to be a star and a stud, that you can go here and get $500,000? Guess what? I'm going to get the $500,000. You can't keep players there. Now you can't keep coaches and players, because you see that Bruce Arians was there. You see that Ryan Day was there. Now you got Casey. Casey is there now. So, yeah, Keeler is there now. Then you had other coaches like Kurt Signetti that coached us when I was at Temple. Now he's at University of Indiana, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on. You have great coaches there. I even coached there as a student assistant myself when I first started in this game. And it's just a plague, like a dark cloud around Temple, that you just can't keep people. And I asked someone this question: what does this mean? I mean, that you have all these great coaches, they leave, go win championships elsewhere, but they can't do it at Temple. you have to figure this out. It's just something that you have to sit there and say either we invest into his program or we just keep it the way it is and just win some games and just shrug our shoulders and say, yeah, we went to a bowl game, we won 6 games and call it a day. Because that's a recipe that Rice University is doing. They won 6, they're happy with it. Keep going. If you win 5, you get fired. It makes no sense. So as a D1 program, we got to do something.
Yeah,
You're going to have to.
and you know what? In 2015, those teams when Rule was there, when we won, the people showed up.
Yeah.
So people come to football games. If you're winning, people are going to come. It's no question about it. So that's not the issue. The issue is being able to keep a coach, being able to keep that momentum. I will admit, Carey era was hot garbage. And I just recall going to when Temple played Cincinnati at UC and seeing what the players were doing on the sidelines. I'm like, what is going on here? That's when they had Ray Davis, who's now playing for the Buffalo Bills. I'm like, you got Ray Davis out here, you had some players, but the sidelines, you saw the punter. I saw the punter cursing out his mom in the stands. It was crazy. I had my sons with me too. So I was like, is this Temple football? What is Coach Carey doing? He's just walking the sidelines. He's just oblivious to all the stuff that's going on around him. So, we had some setbacks.
Jeff, you talk about setbacks, and you've seen this from front row with the obviously the winning formula that Temple has put together and displayed in years past. They've shown that they could put things together. Is it the administration in terms of the budget? Is it the players? Is it the coaches? What is it going to take for KC to turn this thing around to get Temple back to where they was? And that's winning 10, 12 games. That's getting to bowl games. That's just selling out crowds. That's making the Philadelphia community buy back into Temple, because quite honestly, I know Brian and myself had the opportunity to go to a Temple game this year, and we didn't even go into the stadium because Temple just was an embarrassment. And I know I didn't go to Temple. I'm not a football player. I never played football, but I'm sure for you two guys as being alums, it must feel excruciating to just know that, wow, the school that you played hard for, you gave it your all blood and sweat and tears, and the product that they're putting on display is not something that's resonating with you. So Jeff, when you look at this, do you believe in KC? Can KC turn the corner with Temple?
Well, I think KC has to get the dollars to back him. And I think that's going to be paramount. If he doesn't have that particular booster of the NIL program, can't really develop the kind of funds that it needs, and the alumni has to get behind it. If we want a better product, we have to join the Owls Club. We have to do some of those things and make significant contributions, and you earmark it towards a football program. But the thing that's really paramount is victories. And then 2, Temple is being treated like a stepchild. Let's be for real. We had Lincoln Financial. There's no way. And I can tell you, BG, we go back. I can remember being with Peter Leocoris, who was the former president, riding up and down Broad Street. And I remember him talking about where a stadium could be right there on Diamond Street. I just remember those things. I'm like, wow, look at this. Temple has to have a stadium. It needs a stadium. And I this is not a popular opinion. Temple University is in the heart of North Philadelphia. If you take Temple University out of North Philadelphia, that community would even go down even worse than what some of the areas are. I ain't gonna say all of them are, but some of them, it would go down. The resources, the hospital, the programs, all sorts of things, the revenue, the tax base. So Temple, I don't know what's going on in City Hall. There's some forces. There have been forces been going on a long time ago that's been blocking, that stadium being built. But you got to have a home, and safety is an issue. Just recently, I heard a lot of stuff about people are scared to go to Temple because of the crime. Well, BG, when we were there, it was crime there too.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't any different, and we felt comfortable. You and I are from Chicago, so of course we know how to rock.
Right.
But my thing is this: if KC can't get those dollars, and I'm on lobby, I thought Paul Palmer should have been, Boo should have been our general manager. I just believe that because he has the history, he has the face, he's the most decorated Temple football player that we've had. No disrespect to the Deion Dawkins that's playing this weekend and Ray Davis and some of the other guys that are around, but he is the face of Temple University. He should have been the GM. Somebody should have offered him that and say, hey man, listen, you be the guy, because he's close enough to that generation to say, hey, you know what, we can get kids here. I mean, both of my sons went through the transfer portal. it's kids, and they weren't winning teams. I thought it was good situations, but they're like, hey, I want better. Can't
Right.
knock them for it.
Yeah.
I can't make that decision.
Yeah,
Right.
shout out to the great Paul Palmer, another TU alum, another Temple legend. It's ironic how you would think that the administration would tap into the alumni program and tap into the alumni that can connect with the next generation of athletes. And I'm sure Brian's one of those people. You're one of those people, Jeff, because obviously you have kids that play football, so you know what that environment is like. And then you have a guy like Paul Palmer is like, he is Temple football. You can't think, when you think of Temple, you don't think anybody else but Paul. And the fact that he's not in a front office role, in a GM role with Temple, the fact that he's not somewhat even been considered or offered for a coaching position, it's just beyond me. Yes, you have him in a broadcast booth, but he doesn't serve you any justice being in a broadcast booth. He serves you either being in the organization, hands-on to build this program, or the sidelines. Transitioning, moving on. College football national final. Notre Dame over Ohio State over Notre Dame. 34-23 was your final. Will Howard 17-21, 231 yards, passing 2 touchdowns. Mr. Jokins, I definitely just didn't even think about him. 11 carries, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was a force on the ground. Jeremiah Smith, I said that last week. He must have a game in order for Ohio State to win. Damn it, he did it. 5 receptions, 88 yards, 1 touchdown. Abuka, 6 receptions, 64 yards. Notre Dame, wait. Before I begin, shout out to Chris, our producer, Ohio State fan, big Ohio State fan. Sorry you didn't beat Michigan this year, but you can thank us for the win. When I look at this game, Jeff and Bryant, Ohio State pretty much had everything that they needed offensively. They were the better force on both sides of the football. Notre Dame came out on that first drive. They did their thing. They went right down the field, pounding the ball right in Ohio State's throat with that touchdown. But for me, it was just like, are we going to use Riley Leonard on a quarterback dive every freaking play? Are we going to use power football? Notre Dame in that first half, they had 3 straight possessions where they punted the football. Those next three possessions, Ohio State scored 3 straight times. Before you look at the scoreboard, they were already up 21-7. And for me, Notre Dame dug themselves in a hole too early that they couldn't get themselves out of. Second half, we did see them try and make a late comeback. They did cut it. Within almost single digits, but what can we say, fellas? Brian, I'll start with you. When we see Ohio State win over Notre Dame offensively, they didn't open up the playbook for me. They didn't really do anything that was going to put Ohio State on his heels. They were scared to throw the ball downfield. What's your take for the Ohio State's win? But offensively, what disgusted you with Notre Dame?
Notre Dame, kicking that field goal, making that decision. And you're down by large numbers, you just can't play it safe at that point. You have to go for it, and you wind up getting 0 out of it. And at the end of the day, you scored at the next thing. Now you're down. Well, I think it was down 13 at one point, and you had the opportunity to win, but it would have changed the momentum of the game. If you would have made that 3, you still had to score 2 touchdowns. But yet, if you had the opportunity to score a touchdown, they didn't make a difference. It would have been like a tie ball game. So then everybody being on pins and needles. I think that Freeman at halftime was about to cry. He just looked a little timid to me. I don't know what he was thinking. He was shook. His first time being in that situation. He was just trying to come up some different scenarios of how to try to win this game. He kind of got his ass kicked at the first half, and it kind of blew him away. I think they went to the well of running that dive quarterback power play all the way down the field. They ran it like 100 damn times, and they just kept trying to run it over and over again. It made no sense. I don't think they prepared themselves on the offensive end or the defensive end, especially, you just can't play man all the time. You got to mix it up a little bit here and there. And I would have never made that call at the end. 3rd and 12, 3rd and 12, and just put it 1-on-1 with you're probably the best wide receiver here in the country. I'm just not doing it, and especially when he just got explosive, just ran him. He was already 7-8 yards deep and just blew right past the guy. I mean, seriously, it made absolutely no sense. You had no help over the top. There's no free safety available. It looked like they was playing like a robber. I don't understand it. I just don't get it. But yet, that's what they did, and they wanted to cost them the football game.
Jeff, we talk about adjustments. That's the key in football. We talk about halftime adjustments. That's also key in football. Notre Dame was down 21-7 at the half. Ohio State came out in the third quarter and scored 10 straight points, 31-15 at the end of 3.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, you would already make the decision like, all right, this game is done and dusted. What was some of the things that you saw in that third quarter from that Notre Dame's offense? I mean, yeah, they couldn't get anything going, but we look at Notre Dame. Jayden Greathouse, he pretty much carried them 128 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns in his own. Being down at that point at the end of the third, what was your takeaway from that second half that you saw from Notre Dame? Yes, they tried to make a late comeback in the fourth. Didn't really matter. But what surprised you in the second half with Notre Dame?
I just saw timid football. I'll be totally honest with you. And to BG's point, Coach Freeman at halftime and even after the game, it's just like, I feel sorry. You want people to feel sorry for him. I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing?
It's a national championship. Let's go.
Saying, hey, we're going to come back. We're going to, it was a little timid to me. And I could tell because my girl was like, oh, I feel so sorry for the coach. I don't give a shit about him. You're the national championship to win this thing. That's what you got to do. But I don't think, and I was actually shocked that, it was 31-15 because it really could have been a blowout football game. I really believe it could have. I thought Notre Dame defense did a decent job, although Coach Golden made some very serious mistakes. And I was really just kind of shocked by it. I'm like, Coach, what are you – whoever number 29 is.
Hey, look.
He had a long day.
Hey, look, Coach Golden's already thinking about that Cincinnati job. He didn't give a shit about that. Right. He was 1 foot in and 1 foot out coming into this game because he knew win, lose, or draw at this game, I'm going to be the next defensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, you know what? I don't think he liked number 29 because whoever number 29 was for Notre Dame, poor kid. He got ran over. They must have saw the scouting report and said,
of course they did
for something. But that play with Smith was just. If you noticed, when Notre Dame was driving, the Ohio State defensive backs they got like 2 or 3 holding penalties back to back. They wasn't going to let them score no matter what.
Yeah.
And you're taught as a defensive back, never get beat. I don't care if you get the pass interference. Don't give up the 6.
Yep.
And they gave up 6 after 6. It was just
it was pretty sad. I mean, we know Notre Dame this year has played more man-to-man coverage than any team in the nation. Over 80% of their defensive plays are man-to-man. In that situation, 3rd and 12. Can we pull up that quote by Jeremiah Swift? Can we pull that quote up? This is what Jeremiah said before the game. He knew what I was talking about last week. If you're going to play man-to-man defense against Ohio State, be ready. I can't wait to put on the show. And he waited. And I give Ryan Day and Chip Kelly their credit because they waited for that opportunity to come where they saw there's no safety help over the top. We got Jeremiah Smith in a one-on-one situation. The DB doesn't even press him, doesn't jam him, doesn't do anything at the line. Basically, he's flat-footed backing up. Jeremiah Smith with his quick speed, one of the best, if not the best receiver in the nation, smokes right past him, drop the perfect play. One-on-one coverage. This man is beat downfield on an island by himself. Sorry, but excuse me. And that was it. That was it for me. So for Coach Golden, for Coach Freeman, Jeff, when you look at this Notre Dame team, they made history. They've done something that Brian Kelly couldn't do, and that's get them to the college football playoff final. That's to get them with the opportunity to win a national championship, something they hadn't done since 1988 in the Lou Holtz era. When you look at this Notre Dame team and you look at Coach Freeman, what he's done this year, he's built that foundation. He's got them to the promised land. Didn't get the job done. However, he's got them there. What excites you most about Coach Freeman? What does he need to do going into this offseason with the recruiting and getting Notre Dame back to the national championship next year?
Well, he's going to get more kids from the portal, and that's going to help his program. He just brought in one of my son's teammates who played at Wisconsin, Will Pauling. Now he's a slot guy. He's going to be there at Notre Dame next year. So, he's going to benefit from the portal. He's going to get a lot of players. Now, can they get into the university is the issue where they relax the academic standards, because we don't know Notre Dame. It's like, it's one of those
Ivy League. That's Ivy League.
Well, yeah,
it's Catholic school.
It's without question. So you already know it's going to take some groundwork. But I think his exposure, his story, him being an African American, coach for a high-profile program that's actually excelled. Because a lot of times the black coaches get the bad jobs and have to build it, to a certain level. Coach Prime, being an example, although he's done well. But Freeman's at the program, the Blue Bloods of college football. So they'll be back. And Notre Dame is so smart. They're not in a conference. So they're getting all that bowl money.
Yeah, man. Every nickel and dime.
Yeah.
And they can pay their players.
Yeah. Ryan Day. You know how we feel about Coach Ryan Day. Ryan Day becomes the 5th coach in program history to win a national championship, joining Paul Brown, Woody Hayes, Jim Tressel, and Urban Meyer. Ryan Day at Ohio State, 70-10 record. This is the first national championship that Ohio State has won since 2014 under who? Mr. Urban Meyer. What does this win mean for Ohio State? We do know the pressure that they had this year. They did lose to Michigan. Ryan Day was basically blasted to be fired right after the game, if not the end of the season. But, he's pretty much pumped fuel and fire into this Ohio State team and got them basically to where they should be. That is the standard at Ohio State, and that's winning national championships. He's done that. What does this win mean for Ohio State, as well as what does this win mean, most importantly, for Coach Ryan Day?
Ryan Day, in my opinion, is still in the hot seat because you can't beat Michigan. It's just what it is. If you ask the alumni at Ohio State, they can care less about that national title. It's about beating Michigan. They can go freaking 0-10 and go and win that one game. He would have a job for life. For life. That's what it is. I was supposed to go to Michigan. I knew what this whole thing is about. It is what it is. Ryan Day saved his job temporarily. But if he come out there and if he lose to Michigan, his head is going to roll next year.
Hey.
It's just that simple.
I personally hate Ohio State, but as long as Jeremiah Smith is in red and gray, they'll never lose. Red and white, they'll never lose. I mean, Jeremiah Smith's only a freshman. And he's arguably the best receiver in college football. But congratulations to Chris. Congratulations to the Ohio State fans for winning a national championship. But I have a little surprise for you guys, just to give you a little reminder of what it really means to win the table. Michigan last year, and during that national championship run, 15-0, never lost. Ohio State, 2 losses this year. Ooh, sorry. One of them to Michigan Wolverines. They beat Ohio State. They're 4-0 in the last 4 years. No Jim Harbaugh this year. They came into the game 6-5. Ohio State was a number 2 team in the country at home. The horseshoe. They should call it the shit shoe when Michigan comes to town. Michigan has done what Ohio State hasn't. Yes, Ohio State needed a 12-win playoff bracket to get in and win. They needed two losses to get in. The committee helped them out a little bit. Yeah, they had some help along the way. But just a reminder, if you are an Ohio State fan, let us Michigan fans remind you what the gold standard is. The gold standard is to win, meaning beating your rival. The gold standard is to win the Big Ten championship, which you didn't do this year. The standard is to run the table, not lose, which Michigan has done. And also meaning finishing it off and winning a national championship. But I'm not taking it away. Congratulations. First one is 2014. You still suck. And better yet, you got to come to the big house next year. With who? Mr. Bryce Underwood. Mr. 10 million. Let's fucking go, America. Go blue.
Jeremiah Smith may not stay at Ohio State.
Where are you going? Where are you going?
Whoever got the most money, you go to Oregon.
Don't start no mercy here.
Oh, you're starting the rumors.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Where are you going?
Man.
He just won a national title. Where are you going? Oregon? Texas? Where?
Somebody's going to pay him.
Pay him. Archie Manning and Jeremiah Smith. Oh my God! Ouch.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'd pay to see that.
I would pay to see that one too. That's man. This is wild.
I want to appreciate Bryant, and I want to appreciate, of course, Jeff Thomas coming on the show, the Rewind episode 2. Want to give a special thanks to 1990 Studios and Chris for an amazing episode 2. Can't wait to get it out to you guys. If you follow us on YouTube, if you don't follow us on YouTube, you can subscribe to our YouTube page, as well as find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Follow us on Instagram at Global Sports Entertainment 3. I'm Monty, my co-host Bryant, our special guest Jeff. TU's in the house. We love you guys. We appreciate you. And we'll see you next week for episode 3 of The Rewind, wherever you may be, however you be watching. Be safe. God bless. And we love you. We'll get to do it again. Peace and love.
Let's go!
I was checking out the scout report, and I don't see nothing but bums. You and your whole entire world know that I am the one. You and your squad ain't got nothing for me.
Hey.
Your organization is looking stressed.
What?
And now that you haters is running from me, I know that you see that I'm highly blessed.
Here we go. Here we go.